Welcome to another edition of the Sales and Marketing Power Hour with your host, Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing and Kimberly Mackey with New Home Solutions Consulting.
We want to get started?
Well, we have so much to cover and we have such an amazing panel. I think we should.
All right, let's jump in and people can just continue to join us and maybe somebody will bring the donuts.
And maybe.
So today we are talking about, is appointment only here to stay? We've got all sorts of answers to this question already from our pre-show talk. So we're looking forward to that. First of all, we want to invite everybody to keep the conversation going and to keep the chatter going on our Facebook group. So if you haven't joined the Sales and Marketing Power Hour on Facebook, then please join. There's actually lots of great conversation there. Some very fun photos that have been added there. And, I don't know. Do you want to say anything else about this, Kimberly? I know
Our
Kimberly
buddy
has
Kevin
a
Weitzel
poll.
is never at a shortage of funny memes for the building industry. So
Yes.
if you have not seen the new style of decks, this is all the rage. You've got to go check out the decks that Kevin Weitzel from Outhouse has shared.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Feel free to join to load your favorite lumber meme to this page, or ask a question or contribute to one of the polls that are up. We'd love to have you join.
So, while you're at it, Carol, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I get to introduce myself first. Well, I'm Carol Morgan, president and founder of Denim Marketing. We are based in North Atlanta. We work nationwide, and we are known mainly for content. So blog posts, social media, public relations. Yes, we still do traditional media relations. We write lots of award entries. We do reputation management and a ton of email marketing. So that's the bulk of what we do, as well as strategic planning and some digital ads. So if we can help you with anything, give us a shout.
So I should say award-winning award entries.
Yes, award-winning award entries. So we're actually the OB Awards. We're getting ready to write a whole slew of those here in Atlanta once the forms come out online and we can start completing that. Always fun.
And the Nationals coming out here in the next month or so to be able to put some entries in for that. So
and for states that can enter their local awards into the Nationals, which we can do from Atlanta, that makes it so super easy because you just fill it out once and you can enter it twice.
You like how I had to get that plug in there as my National Sales and Marketing Council.
Yes, good job there. And I see you got a nod from Linda on that.
From Linda, who's our past president of So and Lori's currently serving on the Sales and Marketing Council. We're going to recruit Tracy. She's going to have no choice. We're just bringing her right along for the ride. So I am Kimberly Mackey, and my company is New Homes Solutions Consulting. I'm based out of Tampa, Florida, and I am a sales management consultant. And so people say, what the heck does that mean, Kimberly? So basically, I like to say I'm the person who goes in and makes sure that sales is the engine that drives the train instead of running it off the tracks. So typically I work with clients when they're in growth mode and they realize, so a lot of people right now, they're growing and they're realizing, hey, our systems are getting strained. Hey, we're dropping some balls. Things are not happening the way that they need to happen. That's when I get brought in. And I also do training. So I'm fortunate enough to have one of my clients, Tracy, on here today, and to work with us and train her team, even when they have sales that are more sales than they need. So they are busy sharpening their saw, and very experienced sales team, and it's fabulous to work with them. So I think I see a couple of them maybe on here. So are they on here, Tracy?
I think there should be.
All right.
Yeah, there should be a few.
All right, Linda, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Well, obviously, I'm Linda Hebert. I am the owner of Diversified Marketing and Communications. It's a sales and marketing consulting firm. Been in the industry since the 80s and love the industry. I'm helping builders increase their profitability in the sales and marketing arena. I've been, for the last 16, 17 years, serving as the sales and marketing director for Kuiper Homes, which is a local Northern California builder, providing about 300 homes a year. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you for being here. Lori, we'll throw it to you.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. Yes, my name's Lori Asaro. I'm president and founder of New Homes Now Selling, which is a sales and marketing company that helps small and medium-sized builders increase profitability, make more sales, and actually have fun selling their homes. We work in San Diego, Southern California, and Imperial County areas of California. So glad to be here today. What a great topic and timely. Thanks to Carol and Kimberly for including me here, and I look forward to hearing what Tracy and Linda have to say as well. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. And then last but certainly not least, Tracy Lamb.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Tracy Lamb. I work for Miller and Smith. We are a new home builder based in Virginia. We sell in the DC metro market. We typically do between 300 and 400 homes per year. And I appreciate being here with these lovely ladies today. Thank you for having me. Very interesting topics. I think it's going to be a good discussion.
So thanks for joining us. And Carol, you want to talk about what we have coming up?
Yeah, so we have our next program coming up on June 25th, and it's about creating urgency in the active adult buyer. So we've got Rob Crone joining us and Cameron Monroe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's going to be a very lively conversation. You know, we all know that today's boomers have actually backed off a little bit in the market in some places. So I think this is very timely, and we hope you'll all tune in and join us for this one. So
I know part of Tracy's team will be tuned in for that particular topic, so
Yeah.
that should be good.
Yeah, Rob was just on actually the podcast with Kevin Weitzel and Greg Bray. So another one to tune into. I want to say that one's called Builder Marketing. I don't know, Google Builder Marketing Podcast, and you'll find it because that's a good one.
Yeah,
as
the
well.
digital, it's Builder Digital Marketing. Yep, and I have that one bookmarked to listen to
I've
in the
listened
morning.
to half of it. Yeah, I like to listen to those first thing in the morning as well. So let's just start with a quick kind of round robin of what your companies are doing, you know, about appointments, walk-ins, VIP lists, lotteries, etc. And let's start with Linda.
Oh, okay. Well, and we're kind of doing it all. We are currently still by appointment only. And we're in California. We have the magic date of June 15th. We're not sure what's going to happen after that, but we still are 100% appointment only. We're doing priority lists, waiting lists, and Zoom lotteries for our releases. We've got a lot of traffic that's coming through. It's been a challenge kind of managing all that and setting new systems in place, but you know, we've been pretty happy with the results so far. It's been great.
All right, and let's go to Lori.
Well, we're also in California and are waiting for June 15th magic date to see what our new COVID guidelines are. But meanwhile, we are all by appointment still. A little bit of flexibility, you know, on the walk-up person that maybe doesn't have an appointment, but we're free. Selling by Zoom, getting lists of pre-approved buyers prior to selling them. And the appointment system has been pretty effective, a little bit burdensome in terms of it can almost take another staff person to answer the phone to set the appointments. But we have implemented a Calendly system in certain circumstances, which has worked well, where buyers can self-book and that works pretty well as well. But sales success still all around.
Very good. All right. And Tracy, what's going on with your sales team?
Similar to the other ladies in the California market here in, you know, we sell in Maryland and Virginia. We are still by appointment. We pretty much followed the CDC guidelines, asked people to wear, you know, to wear a mask by appointment only. Did we take walk-in traffic if they, you know, filled out our health questionnaire? Yes, we did. Also doing VIP lotteries. We've opened up several new communities and we've had an overwhelming response to our VIP list. So we held lotteries in order to be fair and to really we sent a survey out and tried to, hone down, on some lists we had as high as 900 people. So sending the survey, do you have a home to sell? Do you have children? Where do you live? Where do you currently work? Just asking some basic questions to try to really hone in on our buyer profile, because I think you think you know who your buyers are going to be, and then it can be completely the opposite. So that kind of helped to narrow that window, and it helps us, it helps the salesperson, and it helps us to limit that list, and it's worked well for us. It has. The VIP
That's interesting.
has worked well.
Yeah, and I'd love to go back to Linda when you said Zoom lottery. How does that work? Describe that a little bit. Have you done that also, Tracy?
No, that's why I said, well, why? Because I know we talked about it in our little pregame, and that piqued my interest as well.
Yeah, what we did is, I had a community in River Islands locally here that when COVID hit, we already had 2,000 people on our list. And then as market conditions changed and everybody wanted to jump in and buy a new home, it was just not manageable to do the regular sales process or do a priority list. Nobody wanted to be on, 2001 for, 100 homes. So we created a Zoom lottery. They have to be pre-qualified to participate. We send out a flyer to everybody that's done the pre-qual. We tell them all the information about the home, the lot, the dimensions, everything, and price, what's included from top to bottom. And they get to pick one of those homes on the list. Usually we have about 6 that we release at a time. They can pick one home, and we give them a number, and it's just like a bingo lottery. So we actually have a ball with their number on it. We have a Zoom program. We can see, the 80 or 90 people I've had up to 110 participate for 6 homes. And we literally do it transparently. I have transparent buckets. We pull the number, we drop it in the bucket of that particular home that they're interested in. And then we draw out a name, and you can see the excitement, if they're the winner. And we were talking earlier, it does create kind of a sense of community that people, as they're logging on, they're talking to each other. I'm looking for lot 167. No, I want 167. No, I want 168. And so they kind of converse that way. And it's been, we get a lot of comments that they feel it's very fair. Of course, there is some disappointment when they don't win, and they kind of walk away feeling a little deflated. But we always say, it's like, well, again, it's better than being 2001 on the list that we know you're never going to get a home.
Right. So once you've done that first initial lottery for, say, those 6 lots, the people who didn't get those lots, do they stay in for the next lottery?
They can continue to participate, and they can just, we've had people that have participated in, I think, 6 or 7 lotteries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I have a new community opening up because we're almost out of that one. And I've given those people that participated in the lotteries top priority in my next community. And we are going by priority list in that community just because it's manageable at this point.
Good.
We're not stepping into the middle of it.
Interesting.
With the thought that we can always switch back over to a lottery if we choose. So.
Now, how far in advance are you releasing these home sites? Like you're ready to probably go ahead and pull permits on them, or you've already pulled the permits? What are you? How far in advance?
It's about 30. We're about 30 days ahead of construction. So when it takes about 3 weeks to get the permit. So literally, these people come in. They have to come down that day and sign the reservation and move forward. And that weekend, they will make their frame selections so that we can put in for the permits the next week, and then start that within 30 days. And it takes about,
process.
in that particular market, it's about 5 months to 6 months built. So
that's good. So here in Florida, we're all over the board. It's crazy. We've got builders who are, hey, we're releasing 6 home sites. Come in and give us your highest and best for these home sites. So they're literally in part of like used homes doing the highest. And I've had realtors and there's even some discussion on that Facebook group that we talked about. So I've had realtors who were appalled that builders were now participating in highest and best. And I'm like, well, why shouldn't? It's the market. We're all having to participate and figure out our way to participate in the market. So why not? But one of my builders it's really interesting to me. They have assigned their salespeople a day. So they're trying to hang on to all of their great salespeople. They've throttled their sales back, but so they give each salesperson the opportunity to sell 2, and they're assigned a day that they can write those 2. So for instance, one of my salespeople is on the 21st, and he says to me, I've already got my 2, they're already lined up. I've already got a deposit from, I'm ready to go to write these sales, but I can't put them in the system, can't do anything with them until that day. And he said, now I'm working on the next month's 2 sales. So I thought that was really interesting too. And then we have others that are just, wide open business as usual, but limiting the number of sales each month. So they'll say, it's first come, first serve, but we're only going to sell 5 this month. We're only going to sell 7 this month, or 12, or whatever it is. So
yeah, we have a set number of releases. We basically do 1 release a month of a block of homes, and that's all we sell for the month. I'm sure most of you do that.
Yeah, and that's we all know this is going to change.
Yeah, it's going to continue to change.
And we're already starting to see some chinks in the armor here. We're seeing, interest rates ticked up to a whopping 3% for a 30-year fixed. So we're going to see some inflationary pressures. We're going to see things change up a little bit. So it's going to be a really interesting year. I think it'll be, into 2022 before we start to see any return to whatever we consider normal. I don't know. I don't know if any of us remember normal. Seems like 10 years ago.
It's a cycle on my dishwasher that I always use because I say it's the only thing normal in my life. I'm always appreciative of my Sub-Zero for its normal setting. So that's funny. Yeah, we have a builder we work with in this market who literally took all their pricing off their website, pulled every single home out of MLS, and has really tried to not sell anything. That being said, they sold 14 last month and now have 81 homes in backlog. So, and I know that's not that unusual. We have another builder that we work with here in Atlanta who's done the same thing, pulled all the pricing off their website, and they actually stopped sales on anything that wasn't a certain, stage in construction. So they're not even releasing them till they hit, almost drywall really. So about halfway done.
We're seeing a lot of that. So a lot of builders, even in the South Tampa market, which is a tear down, rebuild, infill situation, very high end custom homes. And the builders have almost all gone to speculative builders. When they can find them and people are willing to sell these older homes and home sites, then they're building until they get almost finished rather than have the buyers participate in the process all the way through.
Right.
So
wow.
So it's crazy. It's across the board. So ladies, let me ask you, Lori, I'll start with you. And what is your team telling you that they feel like the benefits of just selling by appointment have been?
Well, for them, they love the quality time with very high, strong prospects, the uninterrupted time, and also feel that the cream kind of rises to the top. So if the people are sincere in buying a home, they're actually there to pick one out. They're not there just looking around. They're there to buy. And so no looky-loos kind of walking in the door. It's like a self-filter coming in there.
So Linda, how about your team? Are they reporting similar?
Yeah, definitely. But I also think that they're able to manage the groups a little bit better. So instead of just wide open doors and people flooding in, my models look much better because I don't have hordes of people coming through. Which
I bet.
I maintain my models very good. And then also kind of workflow. My teams kind of schedule their time for their escrow management. So and they schedule a break. They have their 15-minute lunch, and they're able to kind of work within those guidelines. And I think they've enjoyed that, kind of the breadth. At the same time, I think they do feel a little bit that they have to push people through. We give them 20 minutes and they've got to be in and out of the models in 20 minutes. And we can have a conversation outside for another 10 minutes at the max. And then move on to the next buyer. So it's kind of clicking through. I think kind of an eye opener for them. We were talking a little bit before is they've actually enjoyed touring the buyers. You know, they realize that as you actually get them outside of your sales office, there is a psychological change that takes place once you step outside and you're in neutral zone. So it's been an eye opener for a lot of my newbies that they're like, oh, that actually works. And, you know, can get them into the model and have the real conversation where that really takes place.
Yeah, I've always said, get them out of your sales center, just walk with purpose and people will follow. And, you know, back pre all of this craziness, you know, get them into the kitchen, offer them a beverage. And, you know, obviously we can't do all that when you've only got 20, 30 minutes, but while you're walking with people, just the fact that you're walking and moving changes the energy.
Yes.
And they're going to see things that they get excited about, which helps you to spark the conversation and have it flow, you know, far more naturally than otherwise it would. So I love that some of these things we've been preaching for years. Now the salespeople are going, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that does work.
This does work.
Nice.
All right, Tracy, how about your team? So what do they like?
Very similar to what Linda and Lori said. I think it also has made them better listeners. And we know that sales is really about, it's 80% listening and 20% talking, at least it should be. And I think it's helped to make our team better listeners. Also, if I glance down, I have a couple of notes. It does allow them to spend more time with the prospects and find out the real why they're moving, what the motivation is. It also helps them, I believe, to qualify them better and to work numbers more, because you'll say to people, what is your budget, or what would you like your monthly payment to be? But sometimes they don't really know. And if you're hurried, you might not have that time to really sit down and work those numbers and show them that, yes, they can, you know, you can afford this. This is what we can do. I think reducing the by appointment reduces the number of traffic. I think it helps the quality of traffic, but I think it can help to boost the overall buying experience. I think just having that quality time dedicated to one party benefits. I see that as a huge benefit to the overall buying experience. Sometimes, at least I know from experience when I was selling, I did feel hurried. If I saw out of the corner of my eye 20 people flooding through the door and I was trying to devote my full attention to these people, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking what the next step or what I was missing. And I think that's been eliminated. And I think it's been a huge benefit.
It's amazing to me what your team knows about their buyers. Like when I ask them about their buyers, they know a lot of stuff.
They do. Yeah.
So which has always kind of been the goal.
Yep.
I have a follow-up question. So for Tracy, it seemed like you feel like your agents have more time with the buyers. And for Linda, it seems like your agents feel like they have less time with the buyers. So I know, Linda, you said about 20 minutes is what they have now. How much time did they have before?
Well, it would be unlimited, as Tracy said. You know, you would just work with the buyer for a period of time, and, you know, as long as it takes.
Right.
But I agree with Tracy that even, you know, that 20-minute time though is concentrated one-on-one time without distraction. The other thing that COVID has done is allowing us to kind of set the expectations for the tour.
Yes.
So we have the ability to say we only have a certain capacity. We can only take 2 people plus an agent, or no children.
Right.
Or, you know, it limits so that they're not being distracted with other family members, you know, running across the room or whatever. So I think that's kind of honed them in. So it's a good quality 20 to 30 minutes, but
right.
It does, you know, you have to move them on. So.
Yeah.
But how great would it be if we could continue that expectation setting as we are scheduling appointments?
Correct.
You know, because things are starting to open up, and, you know, that enhances the buyer experience really beyond anything else. Is what I teach all of the agents that I work with is, what comes next? People just don't know. And if we just simply like, hey, I'm going to schedule this appointment with you. We're going to have an hour to sit down together. This is what you should bring with you because, we need to be prepared if this does work out and this is the home for you. And you're not going to want the distractions. You're not going to want to have to worry about your kids and all the, so if you can come and be prepared, I promise to dedicate an hour of my time solely to you.
True.
But I ask the same in return. I mean,
Absolutely.
who's going to be offended by that? Nobody. People like that. It's a respectful thing to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and Kimberly, to that point, I recently ran a poll last Saturday with about 50 pre-approved buyers. These are people ready to go for a community that's getting ready to open. And the home buyers said that they preferred that method, even if there were no COVID guidelines. So home buyers right now, they may want a little bit of open house time where they can just lollygag through. But the majority of them were saying, no, I like the by appointment method. So I think they appreciate the focus as well.
And I found that people always did, that's something that I've always pushed. And I've always said that, if you have an appointment, you're 50% more likely to convert it to a sale in any market, up, down, good, sideways, whatever. But I always think that people appreciate it when it's all about the benefit, right? What's in it for them? And when you just phrase things and what's in it for them, hey, you're going to get this dedicated time. I'm going to make sure you bring all your questions. I'm going to guide you through. We're going to look at the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's peel back this thing and see if it works for you. Then people appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Carol.
After you finish, we have a question in this chat, but go ahead, Lori.
Okay, yeah, because I was curious about what anyone might think about how our home scarcity is also affecting that preference, with the appointment process, where people feel like they won the lottery because they got to go in and look at a new home, and meet a salesperson. So if we had more homes available, might that perspective be different?
It's an interesting question. Maybe so.
But yeah, I read a quote this morning in Bloomberg that said that builders have gone from trying to sell homes to now trying to build homes.
Absolutely.
That is true.
True. It's very true.
I thought that was right on.
Yeah.
So Carol, you want to deal with Erica?
So Erica's question is, are buyers touring the homes virtually before their pre-appointment, and are virtual tours helping the buyers to be more prepared for the in-person tour appointment?
Good question.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times that people have walked in. I mean, they know what they want. They come in, I want the plan too, and will tell me why. And they live in those homes prior to even in there.
Interesting.
And it was really startling because we had made a frame change. I had an actual virtual tour before we had our models, and then we had a frame walk change. We took out an extension on a stairway that we didn't like how it looked. And I actually had a buyer that came in that I was actually touring, and he walked by that stairway and he goes, "Oh, you changed that. I was wondering about that. It looked a little odd." And I'm so glad that was fixed. And he really studied that plan.
Wow.
And I think that, that also creates kind of that, there's so much more informed buyers.
Yeah.
So I think that the virtuals are great.
I think they were always that informed, at least since we've put the information where it's easy to get. Mm-hmm. I think they were always that informed. They just felt like it was part of the negotiation process to be more standoffish. So, maybe. One of the things, years ago when I was an on-site, and I heard Myers Barnes say this, have you had a chance to view our website? And to really treat them as, and this was, I'm old, I've been at this a while. So, this is when we were just starting to really put all of our floor plans and put everything out on those websites. But it's almost like you got to treat them like a be-back. They've been there before. They really started narrowing things down. And I've always felt like that most people, we know that, that 90 something percent start their search on the web. I think they all do, but that's the number that admits to doing it. So, we just didn't ask the question.
Right.
We didn't know how informed they were. So this has at least taught us, our buyers are pretty savvy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about any of the downsides to by appointment. What do you see that you don't like about by appointment? Linda, you want to start?
Sure. I would say one, lower traffic. There's only certain number of hours in the day that you can bring. So it does whittle your pool down. Right now, we're not worried about that, but I see a time coming if you continue on that path that, that's going to be an issue when the market changes. And public disappointment. In my area, we have people, because we're selling in the burbs, they're driving 2 hours to get out to see us, and they didn't realize that they needed an appointment. And I'm completely booked, and they're at the door, and they want to come in, and I can't let them because I don't have the space. We do try to accommodate if we can. If there's a no-show, we'll slip them in. But I think that's probably the biggest one. And the other one is, because they're so busy, they're running their appointments and they're just back to back. They're not able to answer the phone to schedule the appointment, and people have questions and they want answers now. And, so I personally get the calls from people that can't get a hold of sales teams. They never call me back. They're like, they're busy. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So
you have to kind of look at, do I need somebody to answer the phones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we all do.
Tracy, you had said some disadvantages last time.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier.
I did. I think that walk-in traffic helps helps the salesman. It helps to practice the craft. I think sales is, an art and a science, and I think there's a delicate balance. And I think by appointment it's taken a little bit of the art out of it and reduced it maybe to the more of a science-based selling. And I think it doesn't, when people just walk in, it's, to Kimberly's point, they are more informed, and the virtual tours, it's helped us immensely. But I think when people walk in off the street and they're walk-ins, it takes you out of your comfort zone. And I think that's what helps the sales manager to grow. And how many times, at least I know, when I was on the sales floor, people would come in and say they were just looking, and I sold them a home. And some people call them bluebirds, some people call them looky-loos, but there is that, it just helps you to keep, practice makes perfect. And
right.
People walking in, just having that conversation and just talking with people, even if they don't end up buying, it just helps you. It helps your skill set. It just reinforces it, and it keeps it going. And I think we've lost that. I think it's diminished it, not lost, but I think it's diminished it a little bit.
Well, yeah, I guess we've created kind of this perfect utopia where everyone who's coming in some instances is already pre-qualified. They want to buy. So you're just kind of, as much as I hate to say it, you're almost taking an order, which we don't want to be order takers. We want to be able to solve their problem and sell them something. And so maybe as we come out of this, we're going to have a skill set a little bit, lost. Either that, or we're going to be better closers, because everyone coming in, we're going to assume is pre-qualified and that they're going to buy. So I guess you could kind of look at it both ways.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had to change our skill set too. So I know, like with Tracy's team, we've used the overcoming objection method to manage the buyers. So once they buy, that's the easy part, to get them on contract.
That's what I always
Then
say.
they go totally off the rails.
That's the easy part.
Nuts. Yeah. And so how do we manage that? So we've had to change those sales skills and re-hone them to manage the pipeline and the backlog. And I know with her team, we really have, that's where we focused our efforts. So we're still sharpening our saw, but we're just using them in a different way. Today. So Jan has a question. Who's nurturing the people in the pipeline who haven't even met a salesperson yet? So is that happening, from a central office or from an OSC perspective, or?
Good question.
In my regard, it's the sales team, and honestly, they just can't get that deep. It's those people, and oftentimes it's via email. Just answering the questions that come through to be able to keep those people engaged. It's a silly market right now. I think that's an area that is definitely going to need to improve as we come out of this crazy market into a more normalized, whatever that is, market, that they haven't been able to do. So again, I think that's a really good opportunity for, again, setting those appointments and leaving some space within your own day that allows you to manage your backlog, to do your escrows, to do your outreach to your top buyers, the people that are coming up on your list. So it's not just showing homes all day long. You've got to be able to do your other tasks as well and allow the time to make that happen.
Yeah, it's not just your
Correct.
floor time. I always say that if anybody who thinks that this job is 10 to 6 or 10 to 5 or whatever the model hours are in your market, they're sadly mistaken. So, when I was on the floor, I had to figure out how to sneak in, how to get that time to do all of the other stuff that you have
Park your
to
car
do.
around the corner.
I parked around the corner. I would sneak into, and we were like a fishbowl, it was like all glass. And so I would sneak in, I'd take the coffee pot upstairs. So like people couldn't see me upstairs, and just kind of grab my files. And especially on the day, like some days we would open later. So I would use that time. I come in, before, like 3 hours before, and I would just get all of that stuff done for the whole week. And I was in master plan community, so you had to do all of those reports and all of that too. So, but yeah, to Jan's point, I think that OSC and that online sales counselor, we've all seen the value of what having that online sales counselor, and those guys are on the front line right now, just taking a beating.
I can attest to that because I'm serving as
Online.
Yeah, they have my number, so they call me when they can't get anything. So yeah, I had to actually put my text in there just because they were just getting inundated. So I'm actually acting as that person, that first.
Wow.
Person.
Well, and that's one of the downsides kind of the market, right? But I agree with what everybody here said. We're kind of changing our skill sets to some management tools. And of course, we encourage in terms of nurturing the people in the pipeline, we just rate a prospect ABC. So our A prospects are pre-approved. They are our next group of buyers when we don't know. And those are the people that we nurture. That is a time block of time. There are other people that are on an interest list that, we're in communication with. And given where we are right now, there is not really a lot of nurturing going on there, except through, email communications and things like that to keep the lead warm. But a lot of small and medium-sized builders that I work with, we're talking deliver maybe 50 to 150 homes a year. There just isn't space for that online counselor. So it isn't the team's job to prioritize tasks, and always nurturing the pipeline is one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we don't have an outside on an online sales counselor, so it falls on the sales manager. And I know it has been difficult because when we were talking again before our presentation that we are in an age of instant gratification anyway, and I think the pandemic and the by appointment has only surged that. And people, I'll go out on site to visit, and the phone's ringing off the hook, and trying to talk to the sales manager, the emails are pinging. I think it's put. And people do, I tried to call you. Well, I'm sorry, but I was with someone. I think it has been difficult for them to nurture. I do. Yeah. And it's important. It's super important, but that does help your skill set because, as Lori said, you have to do the ABC. You have to prioritize. You have to really be quick on your feet and organize, qualify, and know who you have to get back to, and try to get back to everyone, but sometimes it's impossible.
Right. And that, we talked earlier about the time management, the time blocking and things like that. And to think that I would have ever told, one of our sales team, hey, you can put an away message on your email, right? For a certain period of time with an expectation that I'm going to return emails, after 4:00 or on your change of voice message. So, if, continually communicate the best you can, whether it's by those messages, and set the expectations for the customer as part of your nurturing. Let them know, hey, I work with customers until 1:00. I return phone calls, between here and there, and set the expectation. It really just makes it much easier.
That expectation setting goes so far. That's a skill that we absolutely have to maintain going forward. And because it changes everything. So if you have that buyer who is not quite ready to buy, we do need to have a real heart-to-heart conversation with them and say, look, as you can see, things are insane here. It's crazy. I need to let you know that whatever you were looking at today is certainly not going to be available tomorrow. It's not going to be available in 3 months. And so when you are more ready, we will have something for you, but it's going to be in a different location. It's going to be a different scenario, and it's certainly going to be a different price. So, you have to say those things, and our salespeople are such pleasers. It's very difficult for them to say, hey, I can't do this for you right now. But I think it's a really important thing to be respectful to that buyer and say that to them, rather than have them go away feeling less than, or feeling that we didn't service them, or we somehow thought that they weren't worthy of living in our communities. We don't want that to happen. So we just have to kind of explain the reality of today in a polite way, of course.
Well, and if you set the expectation, actually, you'll save time, right? I mean,
Sure.
You'll end up saving time. Sometimes people think it's a squeaky wheel. And so what they'll end up doing is sucking out 2 hours of your day, where if, by calling and emailing and trying to if you would have just let them know in the first 5 minutes, you could have moved on. So it's really great to have those conversations.
It absolutely is. So let's look forward. We're past June 15th, the magic date in California. So we're looking forward. How do you guys plan to hold your teams accountable with some of these best practices, the things that they've learned? How are we going to take that and apply it to the future? Do you have a plan for that? Lori, I'll start with you.
I try never to plan, Kimberly. COVID taught me that, just free flow.
When you
Actually, again, I work with small and medium-sized builders. So there's 2 things we're going to listen to. One is our buyers and customers. There might become a friction point where what we're offering doesn't work with what the buyers want. That is also going to probably be directed by larger builders that are in the area that kind of set the standard. They're not setting our standard, they're setting a buyer expectation standard. So we have customers on our priority list that are on priority lists for 10 other communities. And so while I think the list is all wonderful and good, it could well be that they all end up and buy houses from somebody else. So we have to just watch those sort of things. How many of those buyers end up with us? Watch what the other builders are doing, because again, they're visiting those sites. They're looking for a home. They're getting kind of less geographically sensitive. If they're at a price point, they're considering a broader scope of places to buy. So right now, what we're anticipating doing is after June 15th, probably opening and opening on an opening schedule, if that's what our governor allows, and our municipalities. And then taking those pre-approved buyers, and maybe a day or 2 that we have pre-approved buyer customer time by appointment, trying accommodating both groups. But in the end, I really am not going to make the decision in a vacuum. It's going to come by the experience to let us know what we need to do.
Yeah, we certainly have to adapt. Tracy, what about you? How are you going to hold your
I
team?
think eventually we'll return to what we've already said is a new normal. And I think we will move away from strictly by appointment. I think that's where, our company is headed. I think it's important to encourage my team to use the positive new behaviors and new skills that they've learned during this and combine it with what they already were doing. And they, I'll say the old versus the new, and somehow blend those two together and just keep going. Focus on I'll say the metrics, focus on the metrics that matter, focus on the lead conversion. I think results are super important, but then the process is just as important, and just focus on those behaviors that bring you success and keep following up, keep setting appointments, even, when we go back to taking walk-in traffic, and truly just keep showing getting to the real why they're making the decision to buy, and focus on how our home will improve their lives. And that's what I want them to do. And they do it.
Yeah, your team likes to do it. So Linda, what about you? Are you anything you've learned from this that you're now going to apply towards your management style to help your team, to support them?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a couple things. Addressing just the opening situation. I think I had heard Pulte is doing appointments recommended, and I think that's brilliant. So to kind of still keep that, not force it, but as you were saying, Kimberly, respecting their time and hours, setting that expectation that you're going to kind of have a stop and a start time for a recommended appointment. I think we'll probably move in that direction. I think, as I said earlier, I think this whole thing has opened my team's eyes to the touring, getting them started on the tour. So that now when I say that that's what I want them to do, they are going to do it because they've lived it, and they've actually seen the benefit of actually getting them out of the sales office and out of that zone and into the model, in having the conversation in a more relaxed atmosphere. So I think just by having done that, they are going to improve their skills and dig deeper in the conversation with the buyers as they move through at least the first model, and then turn them loose, and then go see them in the last model. So it's kind of just a little follow-up. So it'll change. It'll be more of a hybrid instead of having to walk them through the whole community. They can just start them on the community, but get them into a more comfortable zone, and then meet them at a later date to answer questions. So I think that they will want to continue to do that because they've seen it's been successful already. So
all really good information. Well, what about from the marketing side? How can the marketing team help to support by appointment? What's the messaging that everyone's putting out there right now, and and how do we think that's going to change? I guess that's the one thing. Who is it? Lori said she doesn't make plans, or Tracy said she doesn't make plans. Change has been constant through this. And I know when COVID started and, everything started shutting down last March, I think we rewrote social media messaging like 3 times within, it felt like 4 days. So what's everybody using now? I'm going to start with Linda, I guess.
It's interesting because I just had this conversation. I'm involved in a master plan community, and they do the majority of the marketing for that particular community. And they usually are very supportive of us. When we have a grand opening or, pre-sale program kicking off. And she actually just said, yesterday, I have one opening tomorrow. And she said, do you want us to put your signs out? We can blast you on social media, and, we got the radio going, we can feature you. And I was like, no, sorry. I've got too many people coming in already, and I'm already booked for my appointments. Let's not spend the money and the effort right now. Unfortunately, again, that's going to turn to normal at some point. But for a grand opening weekend, I don't want crowds. I mean, and I can't have a lineup at the beginning of the trailer. So the messaging is definitely different. So it's definitely call for your appointment, get on the interest list or get on the priority list. And you've done that stuff for me, Carol, and you guys on a dime, and I appreciate it. So it's like, no, don't post that.
Do that. Wait, redo this. Yes. Well, it's just been,
I think that,
constant change.
Lots have changed. And I do think that it will turn around again to need to have that exposure. And I think it's more almost like telling the after story, instead of promoting the event, you promote what happened.
Promote the success.
You're not hiding a crowd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We've been doing more and more.
Yeah. I was going to say it's kind of like marketing without a call to action. It's the weirdest thing. Please do nothing, but let me tell you a little something, right? So, but to your point, Carol, what has been really important, and it sounds like you and Linda engage in that, whatever, is just that constant flexibility that our marketing side really needs. The rewriting, like what you were saying, the writing and the rewriting and the messages, like I say, without call to action, kind of really directive, while at the same time creating interest. For my perspective, however many I have on a list, I don't trust my list. So I always want a few more. So we have to continue to build until the community's sold, then I'll let it go. So, that crafting of creating that interest enough to take the next steps that we want without telling them, hey, come see us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, hey, take our virtual tour.
Yes.
Hey, look at this video.
A little more time on your computer. Take a look. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be
Messaging,
out of
for
sight,
sure.
out of mind. Again, things are going to change. So you have to make sure, especially if you're a smaller builder and you're competing, you have to make sure your name is always out there
Stays
and
out there.
associated with positivity and that experience, because there will come a time in the not too distant future.
Well, and I appreciate that comment, Lori, that you always want a few more on your list, because we've literally had builders say to us, I've got 200 people on this list for 60 lots. We don't need to market at all. We don't need to promote this. We're going to pull off, we're pulling off our ad budget back in. We're just not going to do anything. And I guess that's, kind of an interesting thought for me, because, I feel like you should always be branding, at least, get yourself out there, keep yourself out there, because this giant flood of people we have right now will not last. And you don't want them to forget who you are in the interim, especially if you are a, small or mid-sized builder and not one of the big nationals. Yeah. So,
well, and it's really important, Carol, honestly. Like I said, I know of our pre-approved people. They're on 8 different lists.
Right.
If an opportunity comes up somewhere else, they're not our buyer, you know? So a lot of it's timing, pricing, a lot of unknowns for people. Mm-hmm. So for me, we got to keep.
Yeah, Erica put in the chat, marketing seems to have moved on more to an educational factor. What's going on, progress in communities, what's coming. And then she asked, is everybody experiencing more inquiries via social media? I would say absolutely on that one. We're actually tracking, people for social media queries who are filling out that contact us form and, getting more and more of those each month. So if that's any indication, then yeah.
And we also heard from...
I do believe that we have changed our messaging to more, what sets you apart, your branding versus calls to action. Because Lori, I agree with you. I think everybody on my list is on everybody else's list. And, although they may like ours better, it's going to be a timing issue. So you got to message that this is why you want to stick with Kuiper Homes. So,
but this is what you said, you had 110 for 6 openings.
Wow.
That leaves a whole lot of people, by my math, over 100 people there, 104, who didn't get what they were looking for. And you do want to keep those people engaged until the point that they can get into. Mm-hmm. Our Canadian friends always love that we have so many Canadians who are joining us, but in Ontario, and we feel your pain, Canadians, so especially the Californians here definitely do. That they're locked down, so everything is virtual, not even by appointment. So good point to remember that depending on where you are in the country, it's just some people are totally back to business as usual, and and other people are not. So, you know, we can all learn from this no matter what stage we're in, and keep those appointments going for sure. I'll leave you with a formula that I give to all of my clients, and it's a very simple one: 10, 5, 2, 1. And it's easy to remember. 10 is typically the number of prospects that we need if you figure a 10% conversion, which historically this industry has had. So you need 10 prospects to make 5 first appointments, 2 be back, second, third appointments, equals 1 sale. So if you focus on those metrics, I don't usually worry about the 10, because again, that depends. And right now that's totally been thrown to the wind, right? So if we get them through the process, they're going to write. If they get qualified, they're going to write. So, you know, that 10 is less what you focus on. You more focus on those metrics of those appointments. And when we go back and get things back open, make sure your team is having at least 5 of those first appointments. Make sure they're having 2 of those second appointments, so that they write 1 sale for every number of 5 that they have going through. So, you know, and I always say that, you know, that equals, if you did that once a week, then that equals 50 sales a year. So, and you get 2 weeks vacation. So,
Awesome.
which is important for salespeople. We need them to recharge those batteries. So,
Good
any
stuff.
parting thoughts from the rest of you?
Great conversation, ladies.
Absolutely.
you.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Yes, and thank you for everybody who joined us. We'll with that, we will be recording. I'll send this out, so if you were registered, you'll get it. Feel free to share it. It always goes up on the New Home Solutions YouTube YouTube channel. I can't speak first, so you'll see it on there if you want. And please do, again, remember to join our lively chat that we have going in our Facebook group. So we're really enjoying that, and that helps us to know what you're looking for.
Right.
So that, you know, join us on there and contribute to the conversation. So thanks everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you,
See you next
ladies.
month.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.